Hello everyone, Morgie Roy here again. Just wanted to do another video today. As I've said multiple times and did multiple videos on the topic, I am really into TTRPGs. I both play and run different games, and it's been a really great time, and I've really enjoyed it, and I've kind of regretted the fact that I spent so long thinking like, oh, that would be so cool to do, and then I never did it because I was kind of nervous about joining a game. And waited till I got invited to a game in my late 20s. So, been really enjoying it so far. I've been playing, I think, for about 5 years. So, really enjoy it. Really recommend it for anyone who enjoys, it doesn't even have to be fantasy, but, really creative, cooperative games where you can make a character and play it out. But that's not what this topic is today. This topic is about if you're interested in TTRPGs, but you have only seen snippets of people talking about it, say in Gravity Falls, or Big Bang Theory, or even Community, or what's another one that they talk about D&D a lot in? I had it in my brain and now it's gone. Stranger Things, that's the one. Where you've been like, oh, that seems super cool, but I don't know anything else about it besides these little snippets I've seen in these media sources. I don't know that much about it. So I'm going to provide some media sources for you where you can watch and see if TTRPGs and D&D are a thing that you might be interested in actually playing. Now, I'm going to provide very basic, everybody knows in the sphere, everybody knows these sources. I'm going to provide them. And that's fine. So this is not for people who have been in the D&D sphere. You guys already know all this stuff. This is for people who are just joining the TTRPG scene and don't know that much about it and just want to see what an actual game is like. Obviously, with some caveats, because people who play in these games are entertainers. So it's not going to be actually this crazy and silly as what you're going to see in these media sources, but it's going to give you a better idea whether this might be good for you. Okay, so for watching, the big one, of course, is Critical Role. Everybody in D&D and TTRPG scene knows about Critical Role. They may have not seen it, but they have heard of it. Critical Role is a great source to watch if you kind of want to understand how 5e works as a system. The downside of that is that the Critical Role games or episodes are very long and not edited. So people get intimidated by these extremely long campaigns that are not hundreds, but over 100 episodes long each campaign. And they're usually about 2 to up to 5 hours long an episode. And that really intimidates people going into it. The only reason I had time to watch them, for example, was because I was unemployed for a period of time. And so I decided, well, while I'm looking for work, I'll listen to Critical Role and I'll watch Critical Role. And yeah, so it is an intimidating thing to recommend to people because it is such a big thing to watch. And lots of people have different recommendations about where to start, but that is the big one. That is one where if you want to see how an unedited D&D 5e game can be run, and obviously keep in mind that they are all professionals and they are all voice actors, and obviously so the drama and the comedy is going to be at another level. Just keep that in mind, but that is one source to watch. Another source to watch that I actually recommend as well, because I love Critical Role, but it is a time commitment, is Dimension 20. And Dimension 20 is on... It used to be on it used to be on College Humor, but now it's on Dropout. But they do have a lot of their seasons on YouTube. Critical Role is also on YouTube. So Dimension 20 are shorter seasons. At most, the seasons tend to be 20 episodes long, and each season kind of changes up the setting and the theming. And they also play different games besides D&D 5e. They play Kids on Bikes. Critical Role also has another system that they are creating called Daggerfall, which has different systems, and they have done some shorter campaigns in that system as well. but they tend to be D&D 5e focused. And what I like about Dimension 20 is they tend to try a couple of different scenarios and a couple of different types of systems. And even if they do D&D 5e, they tend to like spice it up a little and throw like a different wrench in the works. And that's what I really appreciate about Dimension 20. It is edited, so the episodes are shorter. They tend to be about an hour and a half long to 2 hours. And they have every season, they either change up the situation quite a bit, the setting and the theming, or they're doing a sequel to one of their previous seasons. Ones I would recommend starting on for Dimension 20 is the Starstruck Odyssey, a Starstruck Odyssey, which is Star Wars 5e. So it's a 5e system that is more sci-fi. Crown of Candy, which is D&D 5e, but it is Candyland meets Game of Thrones. I didn't come up with that term. That's how they described it. A Court of Fae and Flowers, which is D&D 5e, but has mechanics borrowed from Good Society, which is another type of TTRPG. So like I said, they tend to mix up the theming. And that one has very little combat in it and a lot of intrigue and character development. So it's a really fun one to watch. And then Mentopolis, which is a kids on bike system that they kind of tweak a little bit. And it is taking place in someone's mind, and it's all parts of the brain. So it's also a very fun setting. And all of these seasons can be 5, 12, but usually no more than 20 episodes long. It's a whole story arc in that period of time. So it's much less intimidating to recommend to someone as opposed to Critical Role, which has huge campaigns with very long episodes that aren't edited. So those are the two main media sources of visual media sources that I can recommend. Obviously, there's so many more out there, so many popular ones. There's so many different options out there, but those are the two main ones that everybody in the TTRPG sphere knows about, and they are good starting sources to see whether TTRPGs are even of interest to you. Like I said, just keep in mind that these are professionals, so their games are going to be a cut above what your game might be. But your game will still be special because it's your game with your people that you like to play with. So just keep it in mind. Don't put your GMs on the Matt Mercer, Brennan Lee Mulligan pedestal, because those guys have been doing it since they were in grade school, and they are also both actors and entertainers. Okay, so those are visual mediums that I can recommend. For listening mediums that I can recommend on Spotify are Not Another D&D Podcast, which is a more humorous 5e campaign, and they have 3 campaigns and 2 spin-off campaigns. And they have 2 people from Dimension 20, Emily and Murph. And they have 1 person from my beloved Drawfee, Caldwell, and then another person named Jake, who is, if you've ever seen the Jake and Lemire skits on College Humor, it's the Jake guy from that. And they are all very funny. The first campaign starts out a little raunchy, so just keep that in mind. Not PG like my media that I'm doing, but I recommend it for adult audiences. That one is very fun to listen to. The other one that I listen to all the time is called Dungeons and Daddies. And it is called that because it is a very, very loose, rules-loose 5e campaign where they are a bunch of dads whose sons get separated from them in a fantasy setting, and they are trying to find them. So it's a bunch of dads trying to find their kids in a fantasy setting. So that's why it's called Dungeons and Daddies. It's not anything, mature with the daddies. Although I'm sure some of the jokes are mature. So again, only listen to if you are an adult. Or I don't know, with parental guidance. I'm not sure. But yeah, both of these things do have warnings at the beginning that they are, for older people, because they do get a little silly and the jokes get a little raunchy. But it's a very rules light system, or it is D&D 5e, but the rules are very loosey-goosey. And it's very heavy on comedy, a little bit of drama. But the reason why I'm also talking about them, because they also do another TTRPG system, is their most recent season is a Call of Cthulhu game. A humorous Call of Cthulhu game, which you don't see very often because Call of Cthulhu is a little bit of a horror and a little bit of a downer system. It can be, not that you can't have fun, but I mean, the theming is a little horror and a little bit, more oppressive. But they've somehow made it into a comedy. So they do dabble in some other systems. So yeah, those are kind of the ones I recommend for if you are brand new to the D&D sphere. Keep in mind, a lot of these are older people content, so parental guidance is advised for anyone younger. But because I can't say if all the humor is adult humor, but there's definitely swearing and things in it. I think the first season of Dimension 20 Fantasy High is censored for swearing, so on the one on YouTube. So you can watch that if you're younger, but it is they are older people's shows, so don't watch if you are a minor, please. But all of those shows are very good if you don't know anything about D&D or TTRPGs and you just want to start and see if it even is something for you. Critical Role, like I said, all the gameplay is shown and is not edited, so it is good for learning maybe the rules, or seeing how the rules play out anyway. Maybe not learning the rules, but for seeing how they play out. It's how I partially learned how 5e works. And Dimension 20, edited and more humorous, but shorter seasons, shorter episodes. And for the other two podcasts on Spotify, NADPod, or Not Another D&D Podcast, is very silly, a little bit raunchy, and not really one for learning the rules. They also do Theater of the Mind, so it's a different way of doing it as opposed to using maps, which Dimension 20 and Critical Role both use. And then Dungeons & Daddies is the most loose rule system, but has a really good story. And if you just want to see a bunch of people hang out together and be silly, it's a good listen. But anyway, I hope this list helps anybody who's new to the scene and just wants to kind of have some media to listen to see if TTRPGs are even a thing they're interested in. But thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And I hope you're having a great day. And if you're not having a great day, I hope your bad day is over with soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.